Whether you're conquering professional exams or personal milestones, we welcome you to Beyond Clean's Confidence Certification, the 52-week test prep podcast series. With expert insights, actionable tips, and engaging discussions, we'll break down the toughest concepts in sterile processing and build your confidence every step of the way. Join host Sarah B. Cruz as she embarks on a mission to help you not just prep for tests, but craft your success story. And now your host, Sarah B. Cruz.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Confidence Certification, a 52-week test prep podcast series to equip you to take your sterile processing career to the next level. I'm your host, Sarah B. Cruz, and on this episode, we are going to talk about the actual test day. Yes, hello and welcome. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your certification adventure. We're just a couple of nerds walking the path to sterile processing success together, and it's pretty awesome. No? Well, you're in the right place with Beyond Clean's Confidence Certification, and I'm your girl, Sarah B. Cruz, to make sure that you are getting that confidence that you need to walk right into the door of that test site and handle that test. Yes, the last few episodes we spoke about the weeks, days, and even the night before the exam. This two-part episode series will provide an overview of the actual testing program and what to expect when you arrive at the test site and enter their facility. So pretty much all of your confidence studying has led to this moment. That's right, folks. There's an entire program and system that we have to be prepared for on top of the actual test that we are studying for. I've been told that this is one of my course's most valued lessons by some of my previous students that I teach at a local community college. Keep in mind, I do not work for your test site. I do not represent them. And at this time of the recording, the information I'm giving you is accurate and relevant. But things can change. So if you're listening to this 10 years later, wow, that's really cool. But make sure you fact check this because the testing procedures may change as well as the program. I personally believe that sometimes knowing what to expect ahead of time can help ease the day of anxieties. I mean, that's why we're studying, right? Is to make sure that we are prepared for the test. So by offering a little overview of the actual day's events, I'm hoping that it will help bring down your anxiety so you feel even more prepared to just really confidently take your test. So having a brief introduction to the program that we use for the test, as well as the inner workings of the test site and their staff, will hopefully continue this sense of preparedness. All right, let's jump right into it. Before you leave the house, here's a few things that you should check. Check your identification documents. So whatever form of ID you are bringing, make sure it's the right one. Your mail is not an appropriate form of ID, okay? And then the type of ID that you're bringing, make sure it's not expired. I have literally been in a test facility to watch someone realize their identification was expired, okay? And that leads to a whole other set of issues. So if you've never looked at your ID's expiration date, make sure you do before you go and take your test, okay? The next thing I want you all to do is check your clothing. There are clothing requirements at these test facilities. Excessively baggy hoodies, sweats or sweatshirts, coats, gloves, hats, scarves, outside of religious purposes are not permitted in the test room. They are serious about cheating. So they often provide you a locker to place all these items in. So if you're wearing a super baggy sweatshirt and you only have a tank top underneath it, you are going to be taking that test in a tank top. It's just how it is. Okay. So really check your clothing and make sure you look at the clothing requirements that are outlined by the facility. I want you to make sure that you also check yourself, okay? The company's employees cannot help you with your indiscretions. I know that's a little harsh, but they cannot help you with the issues you could have prevented. So if you're late, no, they cannot just let you take the test if you're outside your test window. Obviously, if it's not because of them, right? If you're just late, that's not their problem. No, they cannot give you a return of your money or transfer your money to another test date. No, they cannot let you take the exam at the wrong test site. No, they cannot turn a blind eye to identification issues or clothing concerns. You can ask to speak to a manager, but there's literally nothing they can do. They are literally just trying to do their job. So don't be rude because you are upset with yourself. It is not your fault, especially if you're listening to this episode and I'm giving you all the information of things you should be checking. And it's more than readily accessible on their online information and in the email you get when you sign up for the test with your confirmation site. So this is 100% preventable by you. All right. So let's let that sit in for a little bit while we hear a word from our sponsors. It's time for our mid-episode confidence boost, where we focus on a key sterile processing test concept. Now, there's no guarantee these concepts will be on the test that you take, but they are key concepts to the workplace and are discussed in the literature. Today, we'll cover anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is the branch of science that deals with the structure of the body, whereas physiology is about the functions of the body parts. Physiology, function, that's how I like to remember it. The major body systems include skeletal, muscular, nervous, endocrine, circulatory, lymphatic, digestive, integumentary, reproductive, and urinary. Understanding the structure of the body and the function of its parts helps sterile processing professionals perform their jobs more effectively and efficiently. They will be able to interpret the names of surgical cases so that they can better prepare the operating room with the right equipment before, during, and after. If sterile processing professionals understand where the surgical instrument is used and how it is used based on the anatomy and physiology, they will have the ability to check for quality and cleanliness more effectively. While memorizing all the structures and groups in the body can be overwhelming, it's well worth the payoff. That's going to wrap this week's mid-session confidence boost. Good luck. All right, welcome back. We are talking about how to be prepared and what to expect the actual day of your test. So this episode, we're talking about the inner workings of the facility test site and how you can prepare yourself to really just show up and be able to take your test, because you shouldn't have to worry about external anxieties adding to that day when you can prepare for them. So let's jump into what happens when you have arrived at the testing site. Now, the company that provides the test is like all businesses. So they usually rent a space to host their facility and their company in. It will vary in square footage and max capacity levels. I am not sure how they determine this. So if it's really bothering you and you want to know that, you can reach out to them. But they are usually in larger buildings with multiple entrances and multiple businesses inside them that have nothing to do with your test. So give yourself time to navigate the building maze. There will be many people trying to check in at the same time as you. The testing company hosts a number of professional exams and certifications, aside from the sterile processing certification. Things like real estate, accounting, bookkeeping, those are just a few I've heard in my time waiting to enter the test room. They are serious about that time window, though. You must be checked into the test site by the time you have signed up for, or you could forfeit your test and the monies associated with it. Now, I've shown up to the test facility and there have been long lines, okay? If it's because of them that you are, quote, outside your test window, they're the first ones to own it and they can accommodate it and they try really hard to make it work, okay? In my own impression, that's my own lived experience, okay? You know, showing up at the test sites is kind of like waiting in a line for a ride. You get through that first long line door and you think you've made it, only to find out there's more line, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is just make sure you give yourself that buffer time to wait in line if it's there. And the worst thing that happens is that you're there early and you get to sign in for your test at the right time, right? There's really no negative to showing up early, okay? Now let's talk a little bit about the room itself. After you've checked in, you'll be assigned a locker to place your items in. This includes your cell phone. I have personally never needed to have my cell phone on me, so I don't know what it's like if you have emergencies that you must keep your cell phone on you, but I have not seen any cell phones in the testing at all. I haven't even seen the workers or the employees on their cell phones. So they're pretty serious about the no cell phone policy. Then you'll wait to be called into the test room. So at this point, you're kind of just in a check-in area. And a lot of the times you're standing there until you can have a seat in a chair. It's not a congested area. They only allow a certain number of people in because they have to make sure that they can survey and monitor the people that are in there. They're really serious about cheating, okay? So don't be surprised if others who have arrived after you get called in before you. Don't get crabby. Remember, there are many tests happening at the site, and only a number of the computers have been assigned to your specific test, as well as the availability of the computers to test taker volume. All right. So just chill, keep breathing, and focus on how you're going to celebrate when you pass your exam. Don't get caught up in the I was here first energy. Just stay focused and grounded in how you're going to pass your test. Before you enter the room, they will have you lift your sleeves to expose your lower arms and lift your pants to expose your socks and even inspect the bottom of your shoes. Try to use the bathroom before any of this. Seriously, just do yourself the favor. You can go to the bathroom during the test, but it's an entire process. Like, you have to raise a card, and then the moderator has to come and get you, and then you have to go to the bathroom, and then when you come back, you have to go through the entire sleeve and ankle process again. And then the moderator brings you back to your test computer. So if you can avoid all this, try your best to, all right? Typically, you'll be offered a piece of paper and a writing utensil. That's right, you can't even bring your own in. Or recently, I was offered a little dry erase board, which I really liked. You can decline the scrap paper and writing utensil, but these are the only things that you're permitted to bring with you, except for yourself and not your baggy hoodie, to your computer where you're actually going to take your exam. So your moderator will escort you to your computer. There will be dividers between you and the neighboring computer. There will also be noise-canceling headphones. You may see people with binders and calculators and all these things at their desk. These are not your people, okay? No, it's because they're taking a different exam than you. Some of these exams that people take are multiple hours. You know, some of the tests run for 4 to 6 hours. Some of them are multiple days, so they have to go and come back. You're just working on your sterile processing one, okay? So don't get discouraged if you see people who have been there longer than you, or if you see people leaving before you. Again, you don't know if these are your people. All right, so just stay focused on what you are doing. And don't forget that there are noise-canceling headphones, but if you need certain accommodations, like you have testing issues that are documented and treated, or you have certain accessibility concerns, set that up beforehand with the test site. Okay, the company is more than accommodating in those areas, but you have to give them the opportunity to accommodate you. So make sure you give yourself lots of time if you need something a little bit more than noise-canceling headphones, that you have documented proof that you need. Okay, so me just going in and saying, I stink at taking a test is not enough to get me more time on my test computer. Okay, you got to actually have it like documented. So let's do some homework. I want you all to go and check your identification documents. Okay, seriously, go now. Even if you haven't signed up for the test, okay, go now and make sure your ID isn't going to expire. And if it is, when? And if it is it going to be before the day you sign up for your test? Maybe you sign up for your test a lot of time before the expire so you don't have to replace them. No, whatever you got to do, just get aware of the expiration date of your identification documents. I want you to research where your test site is, okay? Not just, what's it called and what's the address. Take a look at the street view and figure out what the building looks like, okay? I'm not saying you got to go and find schematics. Like, let's not get serious here, okay, everybody? But get acquainted with how your facility looks, and sometimes even where you need to park. Parking can be just as frustrating as navigating the building maze. And these are all things you can prevent. Most importantly, please, if you have documented testing issues, give the test site the time to accommodate you. Okay, I know I had mentioned it before, but I can't stress this enough. Please, if you need the assistance, get it. Yeah? And then make sure any home needs or childcare have been addressed. They are quite serious about the cell phones, and I haven't seen any instances where they actually allow them in the test room. Obviously, I can be wrong, and maybe something can be set up ahead of time, but that's all the information that you have to work with right now. Now, next week, I will be discussing the actual test platform and the program used to take the test. So be sure to subscribe to the Beyond Clean channel so that you receive your notification, because it's an episode you don't want to miss. All right, everybody, see you next time. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. For more sterile processing education and resources, make sure to visit beyondclean.net or follow Beyond Clean on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to check out over 1,000 SPD-related videos at youtube.com/beyondclean. If you have any questions or comments for the show, you can reach out to info@beyondclean.net. Finally, make sure to download the Beyond Clean mobile app on the Apple and Android app stores so that you don't miss a future episode of any of the other awesome Beyond Clean podcasts. My name's Sarah B. Cruz, and you've been listening to Confidence Certification. Until next time, keep fighting dirty and pass that test with confidence.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast series are of Sarah B. Cruz only and do not represent the companies she works for or collaborates with.